We now invite the chair of the meeting, Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, the Honorable Gaston Browne, to give his remarks.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, to include colleague heads, ministers of finance, distinguished delegates, representatives of the media, other distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Today's meeting continues the conversation we started last July on the menu of macroeconomic support measures to complement the functioning of the market infrastructure for the CARICOM single market and economy, the CSME, which we all recognize as the platform for growth and sustainable development. We also recognize that sustainable development can only be achieved if we all grow together. To this end, we must seek to harness the collective resources of the region, financial and natural resources, as well as our human capital for the benefit of the community. We have determined that we have a shared future. This perspective prevails throughout the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, which sets out the rights and obligations accruing to CARICOM nationals, both individuals and businesses, as they participate in the CSME. Given our individual size, our limited resources, and interdependence, our very survival depends on the continuing journey towards a single market and economy, or run the risk of being marginalized from the global trade, economic, and financial systems. While we have made progress with respect to the single market, we need greater focus in advancing the single economy, particularly in those areas which would help to support a competitive single market. Financial development is a critical factor in achieving sustainable economic development. The majority of member states are constrained in their quest for development by weak economic growth and high levels of unsustainable debt. The CARICOM region is regarded as one of the most heavily indebted regions in the world. At the end of 2017, average debt level in the region exceeded 70%, with the majority of countries having debt-to-GDP ratios exceeding the international benchmark of 60% of GDP. Moreover, our countries are extremely vulnerable to natural hazards and climate change events, as evident in the considerable damage caused by the 2017 hurricane season. Declining government revenues and the need to pursue fiscal consolidation measures limit the ability of these member states to invest in the economy. And we all know too that our countries, or our governments for that matter, have had to repeatedly invest in damaged infrastructure, utilizing scarce resources that could have been otherwise employed for productive services. The financing deficit in the region has been exacerbated by the graduation of member states to middle-income status and by an overall decline in foreign capital flows. Weak sovereign credit ratings have also severely reduced these countries' access to international private capital markets and increased borrowing costs. Our financial cooperation initiatives are therefore aimed at mobilizing financial resources within the community and on attracting capital from new sources by enhancing the fiscal and investment regimes. It is against such a background that it is imperative for us to pursue urgently the efforts to advance the necessary legal measures to complete those initiatives. It is taking us far too long to finalize the instruments which have been before our councils for many years. Instead of flagging and flogging the issues, let us recommit to a more efficacious implementation of regional policy initiatives. Even as we procrastinate, outside forces are also contributing to our challenges. The financial services sector in CARICOM states is part of our diversification efforts and is a significant revenue stream in assisting our developmental thrust. It is now under threat as it confronts the rapidly changing regulatory landscape in the sector and international tax matters. We are concerned that such organizations as the Financial Stability Board and the OECD are claiming to set global standards without countries such as ours having a voice in the process. While the CARICOM states are supportive of global initiatives to promote greater tax transparency and more responsible tax practices, we continue to be concerned about the extent of the reforms that have been mandated and demanded, as well as the ambitious timeline for executing such reforms. Today, we will discuss our approach to the European authorities as a community to advocate against the unilateral demands made by the European Union Council, against the threat of blacklisting and withdrawal of European development support to our countries. The required reforms have significant implications for the future of the financial services sector in many of our countries. We therefore require time to determine and examine the options for reform that are available to us in accordance with our national and regional goals and objectives. Further, there appears to be a move away from multilateralism, as some countries seem unwilling to comply with the dictates of globally recognized standard-setting bodies. This is happening at a time when the vulnerability of small countries has become even more pronounced. The rise of unilateralism is manifested in the willingness of some countries to embrace their own brand of economic nationalism, which seeks to place their own interests above that of a shared interest in promoting global peace and prosperity. This is not a sustainable path, as such action threatens to dismantle regional and global power sharing and arbitration mechanisms that serve the international community well and ensure some degree of equity and fairness for all countries. Colleagues, the task before us is particularly challenging, given our limited resources. I therefore urge that as we consider the various issues before us, that we commit to leaving here with workable solutions to realize the promise of the CSME as we seek to create better opportunities for our citizens. Our success depends on us leveraging our collective creativity, our talent, expertise, and resources to address the problems which bedevil us. I have every confidence that we will be equal to the task. Thank you very much, Mr. Master of Ceremony and colleagues.